All right, let's talk about your brain. Not just what it is, but what it can be. We're going to tackle a huge question today. Can you actually build a stronger brain and, protect it for the long haul? The answer? Well, it might just change how you think about, everything. So let's just get right to it. Here's the question that I think hangs over a lot of us, right? Is your brain just destined to decline as you get older? Is it this fixed path that we're all stuck on? Is that just the way it is? Well, you'll be happy to hear that the science has a really clear, really powerful answer to that question. And that answer is a hard no. I mean, think about that for a second. That is a total game changer. It means your brain's future isn't set in stone. You actually have a say in this. Okay, so if that's true, how is that even possible? Well, that brings us to our first really big idea. Your brain has this incredible, almost superpower-like ability to rewire itself. Yeah, there's a fancy scientific word for it, of course, neuroplasticity. And all that means is that your brain can literally rewire, reroute, and even reshape itself. The key thing to get here is that your brain isn't some fixed, static thing you're born with. No, it's way more like a super dynamic, trainable network. And every single day, what you do, it actually influences its physical structure. And you have to understand, this is a huge shift from what we used to think. The old belief was pretty bleak, right? The brain is fixed, it just declines over time, and that's it. End of story. But the new reality, totally backed by science, is that our brains are incredibly flexible. They can be trained, they can adapt, and they can even get stronger, especially when we put them under a little bit of healthy pressure. So this whole idea of a trainable brain leads us right into one of its most important jobs, memory. You've heard that old saying, right? Use it or lose it? Well, it turns out that when it comes to your brain, that's more true than we probably ever imagined. And I love this quote because it just perfectly captures how we should think about memory now. It's not a vault, it's more like a muscle. Think about it. A vault is static. You just lock things in there and kind of hope they stay put. But a muscle? A muscle gets stronger when you work it, and it gets weaker when you don't. That one little idea completely reframes how we should think about keeping our minds sharp. And we're not just talking about remembering where you put your keys or someone's name. Memory is so much more fundamental to who you are. It literally fuels your identity. It's your life story. It helps you plan, it lets you navigate the world, and yeah, it even keeps you safe. You can almost think of it as the operating system for your entire life. So protecting it, that's about protecting your future self. Okay, so we've established the good news. The brain is adaptable. But we also have to be real about what we're up against. So let's shift gears a little and talk about the very real threat of cognitive decline. And to really get a sense of the scale of this challenge, just look at that number. Over 6 million. That's how many older adults just in the US are living with Alzheimer's right now. This isn't some small niche problem. This is a massive public health crisis that is affecting millions of families as we speak. Now, before things get really severe, before you get to something like full-blown dementia, there's often this critical warning stage. It's called mild cognitive impairment, or MCI. And this is when you start to notice those little memory slips or have trouble focusing. You can think of it as your brain's check engine light coming on. It's a hugely important signal that now is the time to do something. And here is exactly why that warning light is so critical. A truly staggering 80%. That's 4 out of every 5 people with MCI could develop dementia within just 6 years. Let that sink in. This makes it crystal clear. That early stage, that's our window. That is our absolute best opportunity to step in and change the course of what happens next. And it's so important to realize that this risk isn't just all in your head. It is deeply, deeply connected to your overall physical health. I mean, look at this. Really common things like cardiovascular disease or type 2 diabetes, they directly harm the brain. They reduce blood flow, they damage tissue. It's not separate. It is all one big, interconnected system. Okay, so after that reality check, the big question is, what can we actually do about it? Well, this brings us to the good part, the solution. And it's a really clear, actionable plan we're going to call your 6-pillared defense. Here they are, the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine.
You've got movement, nutrition, stress management, sleep, supportive relationships, and substance awareness. But here's the magic. Notice how they're all connected. When you move more and eat better, you can manage stress. When you manage stress, you sleep better. When you sleep better, your memory works better. And when you have good sleep and strong relationships, it's easier to make smart choices about things like alcohol. See? It's not 6 separate checklists. It's one powerful, interconnected system.
And honestly, that is the key takeaway right there. These pillars, they don't work in isolation. They all work together, one helping the other. Better sleep helps your stress response. Good food fuels your workouts. It's this incredible synergy that works to protect not just your brain, but your whole future self. All right, last big idea. Let's talk about how we can actively train the highest level of our cognitive skills. It is time to upgrade your brain's command center. So, what is this command center? Well, scientists call it executive function. The easiest way to think about it is like your brain's CEO. It's the part that's in charge of the big stuff, making decisions, planning ahead, controlling impulses, and solving tough problems. You know that feeling when you're just on it and super sharp? That's your executive function firing on all cylinders. And training, this isn't about getting a high score on some app. No, it's about upgrading real-world skills. And the benefits are amazing. We're talking about better sustained attention, the ability to focus on what matters, to switch between tasks without losing your train of thought, and even the ability to say no to something now for a bigger payoff later. That's huge. So what's the best way to train it? You might think the answer is, doing puzzles or using those brain training apps, but the research actually points to something else entirely: movement. Yep, activities like yoga, dance, even resistance training, they provide the deepest benefits. Why? Because when your body and your mind have to work together in sync like that, you are giving that command center a powerful, powerful upgrade. So let's wrap this up. We've seen that your brain is not fixed. We've seen that memory is a muscle you can build. And we've seen that you have a whole toolkit, those 6 pillars, to protect your cognitive health for life. It really all boils down to one simple, powerful truth. Your brain's future is being written by the habits you have right now. So the only question left to ask is, what story will you decide to write today?